Okay, guys, so this is the video I actually wanted to do first of the little 3 grouping that I have for you today. My name's Attorney Walter Hnot, Disability Resolution PA, most viewed disability attorney in America via YouTube. I hope you're doing awesome. Let's get right to it. Oh, remember to like, subscribe, leave 5-star reviews. I'll try to remember to put that little link in the actual chat and comment section later. Now, here are the 5 disability rules or facts that I wish like the general community knew more about. And they're actually pretty interesting. They're not like the standard yada yadas off websites. These are like things you should ask about when you are found disabled or when you're applying for disability benefits, stuff like that. I'm a little bit sick, so my nose is a little bit stuffy, but let's get right to it. Number 1, you are either found disabled for one impairment or multiple impairments, right? Those are your 2 main ways to be found disabled, right? Howdy, Deb Carter, Aria Grandes, Betty Daly, howdy. So basically, the deal is this. Remember, when you're found disabled, it almost always falls into one of 2 categories. You're found disabled because of one impairment, or you're found disabled because of multiple impairments. That's why I always ask people, hey, what are your top 5 most severe disabling medical conditions? Top 5, because that forces the person's brain to start doing a diagnostic impression. Bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, impairment. That's the whole idea there. Now, with that said, each finding, right? So when they find you disabled for one impairment versus 2 impairments, one impairment could potentially limit your ability to own firearms. Like if you're found disabled for a mental impairment solely on that mental impairment where it meets the severity requirements, that's a different finding of disability than having an than having an adjudication where they find you disabled for multiple impairments, where that could potentially cause more CDRs to be scheduled for your claim. So what I'm saying to you is this: for factoid or little rule thing number 1, after you're found disabled, ask your attorney, whether it's me or somebody else, what are some of the restrictions or negatives or positives that come from this type of finding of disability. And why this is crucial is that, honestly, I've never had a claimant ask me what was the type of approval that I got, and then thereafter, what are some of the things I need to watch out for? Nobody ever asked me that, and that's crucial. It's like this. Like there's so many little tangible things that could affect your benefits. And the first thing I always get from guys that are in the South, they're like, is this going to affect my ability, and I never get asked that after the hearing or after they're found disabled. I get asked that 6 months down the line when they're like, well, I got to have that gun. I got to have it. It's got the big thing with the trigger yiggy and I want that, So the bottom line is like, they're like, I need to know. And it's always down the line because, they get the back pay and then they're like, well, that Henry Arms over there, that's shiny. She's pretty. And she looks good with me. My vest, the leather one, just tucks right in there. So, all right, bottom line is that's important because you need to know what you're, and here's the thing. A mental impairment, singular, severe enough, just that one impairment, listing level to get you found disabled, a one impairment, a mental impairment finding, you're restricted as to what you can do with firearms. However, multiple impairments, they're likely to do more of these CDRs, the continuing disability reviews, where they review you to see if you're still disabled and things like that. So what the deal is that when you're found disabled for that one impairment, that means it's a whopper. I mean, a real whopper. But when you're found disabled for multiple impairments, that means the combination, the marination, the totality of all of your impairments, right? I don't know why I went Italian there, but the totality of all of the impairment, now I'm thinking about food that marinates, the totality of all of those impairments together limit your ability to work. And what they do is they look at functional categories, right? How crappy are you going to be at the following category 1, category 2, category 3, etc. Now that type, though, there could be a slight improvement here in that impairment, a slight improvement there in that impairment. Maybe one of the impairments becomes worse. But if they can show improvement and that you can work through the 8-step sequential process, like the review elements, right? Normal process is 5 steps, 5-step sequential process. The re-review, you're found disabled and they review you later, is 8 steps. That's 8 steps right there. So if they use that and they say, well, yeah, you improved a little bit on that little wiggle right there and that little That little impairment right there, you improved a little there. Well, boom, all of a sudden, CDR, you're facing loss of benefits. So it's just crucial, guys. It's so friggin' crucial. Ask your attorney once you're found disabled, what type of finding it was, how it affects your rights thereafter. It is crucial. I should probably do a whole video on that. I don't know why I haven't. It's like one of the most important things you can know. All right, number 2, judges don't have your claim memorized. This is an important fact. And some don't read it before the hearing. Like your file, some don't even read it at all. They just do a precursory, like, okay, what's the AOD? What's the PFD? Alleged onset date, protected filing date. Are there any, jail time issues? Are there any work time issues? What are the quarters coverage? Does that match up with the IRS analysis? All that stuff. So they maybe don't read it until after they've heard your testimony, get familiar with the claim. When you call up the SSA, and this is the whole point of this, and say, I submitted that document, I sent it in, you should have it. Remember, there's no one there. Remember, at the SSA, there is no one there, not a single person, who perfectly knows what's going on with your claim, because everyone has hundreds and hundreds of claims that they are working on. Attorneys, we often have thousands of claims that we're working on because we don't make that much money. We have to do a zillion claims just to break even. It's ridiculous. Like this system is, there's a lot of ways that they could have done this system. Having us earn 25% the longer it takes is like the worst way that they could have come up with a way to do. It's just terrible. It's like, it's the wrong intent. It's the wrong timetable. It's like everything's wrong with it. But anyway, I could probably fix it one day if I, whoa, wow. RYES or Rye Shock 4. Wow. Thank you for the $20 donation. I really, really, really appreciate it. That's incredible. That's really, really incredible. So here's like the thing. I'm going to tell you guys in another video, I've been working on a secret and it's nearly killed me. It has nearly killed me. And I'm sick partly as a result of it. But I'm going to give you a tour of that secret in another video because it's something I'm really excited about. And it's a huge thing. All right, let's keep going through this. So the point with this particular thing is, point being is if you want an in-depth update on something you sent in, you need to hire an attorney and they will need to review the file and then call you back. So don't be the person who screams at like the SSA person, like, how do you not know what I submitted 5 minutes ago? Don't be that person. Don't be that person. Or how do you not know what's on page 84? I literally, last week, somebody called me. They're like, did you see what's on page 84? And this person doesn't have a hearing like scheduled yet. They sent it in yesterday and I haven't even touched it yet. I went to back office. It got labeled as a PDF, uploaded to the system, uploaded to the ERE. And I got a heads up via text that, hey, this document came in. I hadn't had a chance to read it. I'm like, page 84. Well, let me go take a look. And they're like, what do you mean you haven't read it yet? Guys, it takes a while to read up to page 84. Now, with that said, disability attorneys, we're so fast at reading medical documentation because a lot of the medical documentation is copy paste. So if you get the general, you know where to look. What's the diagnostic impression? What are the results? What's the blood test say? Why is there crack cocaine and heroin in this particular medical file? What happened? Can you tell me why you just told them that you smoke 4 packs a day of cigarettes and you're homeless, and how do you afford that? And boy, that's a lot of change that you get from cars driving by, that kind of stuff. But remember, if you want like that in-depth touch, and remember, not a lot of attorneys will even give that, but you got to basically call them and say, hey, look, I'm curious to see what your thought is on this. And then say, hey, give me a call back in a couple of days, because then the attorney has the chance to go look at it, think about it, and get back to you. And that's crucial. That's how you get the best results from your attorney. I just saw a little thing from Ariana Grande's ponytail, 4 packs of cigarettes. I don't know how people smoke that much. When I get sick when I when it's cigarettes, cigars, hookah, all that stuff, I turn like this ghastly, like I'm pasty, but there's a level beyond that. There is next level pasty. And I get there only when I smoke cigars or cigarettes or whatever. So I just don't do it. I also don't drink. I'm actually no fun. So that's why I'll find her one day. She's out there. She's probably in a Publix somewhere looking for me. Number 3, you actually lose money each year that there is a COLA increase. I know I've been on and on about this. I just want to hit one little home run here with it, because the algorithm they use ends up being less than the inflation that affects you. So when the president does a victory lap, which he He did do that, had to pull it down from his social media websites. They are actually underpaying you. The higher the inflation, the more severe they are ripping you off. So if you see a high COLA number, that means you're actually losing more in the game. And that's sad because you've lost over 50% of your benefits just from 2000 forward. It ain't good. Okay. Nonprofits calculated it. It is sad. Number 4, once you are found disabled, okay, once you are found disabled, it still takes weeks to get your benefits unless you're part of an expedited class of individuals like wounded warriors, compassion allowance listings, or homicidal, suicidal, homeless, etc. Okay, the DR&D category. Now, with that said, I just want to point something out. I'm going to be doing another video where I go through how long it takes to be found disabled over the timeline. And what are the things that can speed it up and go very quickly? And then what are the things that can slow it down? And we're going to go through every single state that's actually out there. I see some little red thingies here. Let's see. Shelly Nelson, got a word first time applying for COPD, heart disease, and liver disease. Does that mean I cannot have my firearm that I have for protection only? I don't have an attorney. No. So Shelly, the deal is that COPD and heart disease and liver disease. All right. So you got 3. You got a multi-approval, multiple impairments. None of them are mental based. It's not going to affect your guns. You're fine. You can buy them. You can hug them. You can comb their hair like I do. Just kidding. And you're totally fine there. And also, very, very important, I just want to point out, I've always been an advocate, and some people disagree with this. I've always been an advocate of firearms or personal protection devices being available for disabled people. And I have always been an advocate of having firearm education, especially for females in school. Because if you guys want to know what some of the worst attacks or rape situations are, it's against homeless women who live out in the street and have nowhere else to go. Oh, wow. There's a retired K9, $1.99 donation. I really, really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. If you guys disagree with, people having firearms, I totally get it. I am somebody who really appreciates firearms, and I think part of the thing is too, I don't think that what's happening in America is okay. Here's the thing. I'm doing a whole video probably tomorrow. We are seeing a decline in the amount of veterans that we have, increase in the cost of their benefits, but that's because there's more auxiliaries like kids, Y, X, Y, whatever, that are tapping into them. But we're seeing a severe decline in veterans that we have, which means that our country is becoming anti-military. And that's not a good thing, because in order to retain all the benefits and the wondrous things and the advantage that we have as America, we've got to have a military, which needs people, and the people aren't signing up. So I'm going to do a whole video on that. And I think the bottom line is I'm going to start doing some more VA videos because I've helped out. Look, I am registered to do VA benefits. I do it for friends to help them out and push them along the process. I may start doing some more open to the general public on them. I haven't been impressed with what the local firms are doing as VA firms to go ahead and basically push people forward to get their VA benefits. It was actually incredibly limited. I, as a disability attorney, get paid significantly less. Like my big day is $6,000 to $7,200. Their big day is like $35,000. I do more work for that $6,000 to $7,200 than they do for that $35,000. So, just a heads up. So kind of the point here is this. There's another thing too. The VA people, I'm going to say this, it is controversial. I understand that. I'm just going to put it out there. The VA people have fought for our country or have supported our country in a way that allows the rest of us to do our thing, right? Think about it. It wouldn't be this way. Like we wouldn't have YouTube being the way that YouTube is. Like think about it. China has their own version of YouTube, which has to have state approval. We don't have that. Although there are, with these social media websites, basically the government is tapping into them and accessing information. It's just ridiculous at this point how much access they have to us. But that's the digital online thing, which is scary about that whole digital currency that they want to get into. They're all anti-crypto unless it involves them having their own. You notice that? That's always say, hey. All right, now let's get on to the next one because I'm getting too much into politics here. All right. Number 4. So once you're found disabled, it takes weeks to get your benefits. Here's how much time it takes. You're found disabled. If you are found disabled via an OTR, on the record review, OTR just means they look at your record, they find you disabled, you don't have to do a hearing, super dupe. Then that means that basically you could go ahead and get a decision within 2 to 3 weeks. That's usually the amount of time it takes. Could take 3 months, but it's usually 2 to 3 weeks you'll get a decision. You have to add on to that 1 week for mailing, because they mail it out the slowest, cheapest, yada. It's not bulk mail, but it's like the next better thing than bulk. It's slow. So the bottom line here is that you're looking at like a month for the actual approval letter. If you go to a hearing and they got to write up a whole yada yada, then it usually takes 3 to 4 months from that hearing date to get your decision letter. Once you get your decision letter, it takes about 3 weeks to get your back pay started. It takes about 4 weeks to get your forward pay started, your check every month. And it usually takes about 2 weeks to 2.5 weeks to get your Medicaid or your Medicare set up. It depends on how quick with the Medicare you are, because some people sign up, they elect for their thing, they're ready to go, they choose their plan, and they're good. Some people are like, well, I don't know what to look at, I don't know what to choose, yada yada. So bottom line is, just as a heads up, that's the timelines it normally takes once you're found disabled at the hearing level. All right, cool. Number 5, at the SSA. Okay, so this is fact number 5. Different groups do different things and know different things, right? So some groups know some stuff, some groups know other stuff. ALJs, the judges, the ones that you go in front of, at the hearing level, do not know much about initial filings. It's just not in their education platform. They just don't know much about it. Local field office people don't know much about the hearing level, appeals council, federal district court level, federal circuit court level, or the Supreme Court levels. When you get to district, circuit, supreme, they don't know anything about that. It's all literally the field office people call me to ask me what's the next step of what's going to happen with this claim. And I have to explain where it's going to go, the remands, case consolidation, all that stuff. DDS is a state-based group funded by the feds. Okay. And they don't know much about anything above the reconsideration level. The point is, if you keep getting different answers to a question that you're asking to a particular group at the SSA, then you likely need to call a different office that is specific to that question. If you have initial filing questions, that's going to be your local field office or your attorney. If you have initial filing and reconsideration adjudication, judging questions, that's going to be your DDS group. If you have higher level court questions, that's going to be the specific hearing office or court and the clerk of that group that basically should help you. Now, look, the reality is this: the higher up the level you get, the higher up, so the closer to the judges you get, the more the operators know. The zero, press 0 people, the more those people know. You have a higher more trained, more educated person, the closer to the judges and the clerks that you get. The higher up the court system you get, the higher the level of individual you get with knowledge. That's just how it works. So when you get some really weird stuff from the local field office, that's the intro line. That's the beginning line. That's what happens there. All right, number 6. If you have bad evidence, the attorney can't magically win your claim. So if you're one of those types of people who just expect it all to magically come together, the super high passage rate judges, the ones where it would sometimes squeak through, the last of them in the system mostly retired during COVID. The point is, going into 2023, and this is important because we're leaving 22, going into 2023. The point is, those days are over. So you got to get your booty to the hospital, because attorneys need evidence to build a claim, to win it, to argue it, to brief it in front of the judge. And so the bottom line is this: there used to be a lot of firms where their whole theme was essentially, hey, let us take over, we'll do it. And then they would never interact with you. Now, a lot of you guys will, you'll do this. You'll be like, oh, the firm has to check in with me all the time. It's not the firm's job to check in with you every week, not even every month. If you want an update, call the law firm. That's the truth. If you're sitting there going why don't they ever call me? You can call them. Now, some of you got crap law firms. They never call you back. They never give you an update. I get that. I understand where you're coming from. I get it. But the thing is this, you got to check in with your firm to know what's going on and get the update. And this is what's so incredibly important about that. If you're one of those types that's like, I just deal with the pain, or I don't care, I'm just going to keep smoking and using drugs. Like, don't bother the attorney with their time, because they can't use that. Like, if your medical record shows you just getting medication upkeep, medication like check-in, you've been on the same medication for 4 years, nothing's changed, don't bother the attorney with that. That's not a great claim. That's you showing that you have stabilized and the medication has gotten you to the point where you're stabilized enough. And the judge is going to look at that and say, well, this person probably can work because they're stabilized on their medication. They've had them for 4 years and they're, basically, being supported by their spouse, and their grandma gives them money every month. What you want to do, what's important, is to follow the basics, at least the basics, so that the attorney can then tell you exactly what you need for the listings, for that particular judge, what questions you have for upcoming hearings, all that kinds of stuff. I think one of the problems that I foresee is that a lot of people have this magical expectation of like the attorney having a magic wand where they can go woof, 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 and poof, you're found disabled. That's not how it works. I mean, there was a judge and attorney who did that, and, they're in jail now. But the bottom line is this, that's not how it works. So please, please, please remember, I'm just going to tell you the basics right now. This is so crucial. Wow. Rock, Bourbon. I'm not sure what the little thing, I assume they're O's. Rocket Bourbon. Good sir. Thank you for the $20 donation. Help me out with how to pronounce your name. That's super awesome. Thank you. Awesome image too. Okay, so quick thing. His image is music notes. I was going to make a video where I was playing the guitar for the first time in 15 years, but then I didn't pick up the guitar because I got sick. Around the first, I'm going to do a video where for the first time in 15 years, I'm going to be playing the guitar. The guitar strings are 15 years old plus. The amp hasn't been turned on in 15 plus years, and it's a vintage tube amp. It's like a 1962 or 63 Fender Super Reverb. It's old. I don't even know if it's going to work, so I might have to plug into a different amp. But the bottom line is we're going to actually do a fun video dealing with music. I was supposed to do one when Morgan Miles was, basically winning The Voice. She was like top 3. But life just, God, every time I turn around. But again, Rocket Bourbon, thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate it. That's amazing. I have to go get Sweetie. She's barking a little head off. But bottom line, final thought on this. Guys, remember this. If you're not sure what to do, the basics. You need continuous, repetitive, upkeep medical treatment. You need like critical care, emergency room. You need what we call crisis medical treatment. You need to swap out your medications every 6 months, because if you're stable on them, it's going to hurt you as evidence. You need failed work attempts every 3 months. Basically, the job should not have worked out. Obviously, if you can work, keep working, because you don't want to be on disability. You want to make money. But, if you're working for 6 months, they're going to look at that and say, well, we'll just keep going. Another thing is this. Please get your ambulatory devices prescribed. Another thing is this. Please stop abusing, follow medications as prescribed. Don't add things. Don't cocktail them. That's another thing. Look, doctors know when you abuse CVS. I love you all. I do. But when you abuse CVS, when you take the Walgreens straw and wiggle it in the CVS cup, they know. All right. Retired K9. Thank you. What is the chance of CDR after 11 years? Let me see real quick. Okay. What is the chance of CDR after 11 years? So it's very low, but here's the thing. It depends on your age. If you are still under 62, there's potential of it. They have likely ignored you up to this point because they set their computer that way to not, keep looking. The other side of the coin is they may have already requested medical documentation. The best thing to do is call the local field office and find out when your next review is, because that's all auto schedule at this point. The big thing too is to remember they're looking for any medical documentation that shows improvement. And the scariest, the thing that shows the most improvement that could harm you the most, the worst, are these therapy notes. I don't care who you go to. When you go to a therapist, like, they're always writing down that you're you're walking on water, buddy. You're doing great. You're like, you think you're doing good. You think you're doing okay. Well, they think you're doing even better than that because, they're going to invalidate the purpose to the insurance that's paying for them to do their work, So just be aware, be careful with that, because when it comes to therapies, I've seen a lot of people go from like, I can barely walk. And then in the medical records and notes, it's like, this guy can do heel to toe very, very well. And he's blah, 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 blah. And we put weight on his ankles and he's da, 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 da. And he's high kicking for Hollywood now. A lot of shenanigan-y stuff. So just be careful with that. All right. I will catch you guys later. I'm going to do one more video. I need about 10 minutes break because I'm losing my voice because I'm sick. I will catch you a little bit later. Thank you so much for the donations, everybody. Retired Canine, Rocket Bourbon. I'm still not totally sure how to go ahead and say that name. I'll look through the comments to see how to say it. Again, Retired Canine again. And Rye Shock 4. That's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. I really, really appreciate it, guys. You have a wonderful, wonderful night. And give me about 10 minutes, and then I'll be back. I just got to drink some drink, and then we'll be good to go. All right, guys. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.